Hey everybody, Possum 911 here, Commander of the 1st Division North American Server. I'm going to do a rundown for the tank inspector for my clan. Anybody else that's interested in it? I haven't had this program for a very long time, but what I do know about it, I sure do enjoy. It's helped me make some picks of tanks that I was curious about which one to push for harder or not. And I'm going to start right off here with we do have a 3D model that we can rotate around, check a vehicle out. This is the T-110E4 American Tank Destroyer with the turret, the one that's above the Hellcat Tier 10. What goes on here is this thing shows the range of the barrel movement. Um, this tank doesn't have 360 rotation of the barrel. This dot here, that's on this thing. The farther back you pull it to the back line is going to be the gun depression, and this line here is going to be the elevation. Wherever I click this thing and leave it at is going to be where the gun's going to want to be settled at when I'm done. Whatever I do at when I let go. If I make the gun barrel pull over this side when I let go, that dot where it's this dot right here is where it's going to want to go right back to when I let go. Okay. Um, I can color code the tank itself and see in the comparison of the standard armor or the spaced armor what their thicknesses are as I go over each different area on the tank and aim at things that you might aim at when you're targeting some enemy tank and looking to see where to hit it. You can get ideas of exact thicknesses of things by the color code. The other thing is I can look at, let's go to pull up two tanks to compare really closely, okay? T-32. And this little thing here, okay, so I've got the T-32 tank picked up, okay? Now this little eyeball thingy right here, this, if I click that, it's going to pick up every single tank that is a Tier 8 heavy in the game. Premiums, all kinds of stuff. And this has got a lot. Premiums I have never seen or heard of before in this thing. So they may be stuff coming out in the near future or things that are rare that have been out before. I'm going to compare the T-32 to the IS-3 because they're the two like toughest, best heavies in the game at Tier 8. Now, in comparison, right off the bat, my armor scale, like the side of my turret, is 197 on this one. If I click this button, it's going to bring the IS-3 in here, and my armor on the side of this is 110. Of course, it's sloped armor, but looking at the model and seeing the different areas that I would aim at the vehicle to hit it. Boy, this is really thin right here, really thin armor, 60 millimeters, but it's a steep angle. But boy, if you could hit it right there, nice shot. Gives you some ideas of where to hit these things at. The other thing is the stats on the stat page. All kinds of stats. Survivability. This is all the armor, the health of the turret, the hull, the whole total health of the tank itself. The armor, front, side, back of the body, front, side, back of the turret. Your tracks, your gun, the chance of your engine set on fire, average potential damage that it could take, survival rate. In comparison to the other tank, if I click this yellow button, it swaps the other tank out and it shows you all of its stats. I do one of these jobs here where I'll click this little button and just compare at a glance, looking at how much green I see on the IS-3. Where am I seeing the green on the mobility? That's the tank's drive, how fast it goes, backing up, rotations. The maneuverability is the gun sights, how quick the target reticle settles down after you move your turret and stuff, and all the stats on that. The firepower, the penetration, the damage per minute, the module damage that it can do, reload time, all the stats on the gun, the stats on your camouflage abilities, um, battle matchmaking, details about its average win rate and all that stuff. The economy, how much it costs you to shoot per shell and things like that, like how expensive this vehicle is going to be to reload on an average battle and whatnot. Um, a lot of great stats. You know, I mean, even at the simplest little glance of, you know, IS-3, T-32, where am I seeing the green? Where it's red, how big is the difference? Like, let's look at maneuverability. We're looking at maneuverability at T-32 is lower than the IS-3. The maneuverability of the accuracy of the gun, right? 0.393, and the Russian 0.384. It's really not that much difference on that stat. The power, the engine on the American tank, 800. The engine on the Russian, 700. The specific power, 1426, is the higher on the Russian, 13.9. You know, I mean, there's not huge differences in the stats that are green. But when I see something that's got a lot of green on it, and the difference in the other tank has got a lot of red on it, and the differences are big, boy, I can tell that, you know, those features are better features by far. Sometimes just a quick glance at it really isn't going to tell you everything. You want to look a little closer than that, but it can give you an idea, help you guide yourself to where you may want to be for a tank. You can go through different modules, set it up specifically if you've got a lesser gun and you want to check your gun. Here's a good one. Okay, let's go with the T-32 against the T-32. Compare the two tanks exactly. Here's all your stats are going to be identical, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on this one tank. I'm going to put on a gun land device. I'm going to put on a vertical stabilizer, and I'm going to put on a rammer. Okay, that's a nice setup, right? On this other tank, the same tank, instead of a gun land device, I'm going to put on a pair of vents and a vertical stabilizer and a rammer. Now, look at the difference in the stats. All of a sudden, there's a lot of stats that are green on here that weren't a minute ago. How much difference? That putting the vents is what's the difference is here. If I take the vents off, take the gun land device off, everything's back to the same. Okay. What the vents do to this tank, and that's all that I've changed, is just the vents. Okay. And that's the difference right off the bat. There's a lot of stats that are changed by those vents. Now, would I rather have the vertical stabilizer, or would I rather have the gun land device? Yeah, the rounds per minute on this thing is rate of fire is 6.707. It has a low rate of fire, so I mean, I do want to have a gun land device on this. Let me do another tank. Actually, let me do the other one with vents and this vertical stabilizer. So comparison to two. Okay, so that's the differences. What's going to be my aim time is going to be a little quicker on one, and my aiming reticle is going to be quicker on the other. You know, I would actually, if I was going to go with one of these setups over the other and use the vents on it, you know, if I'm going to be doing a lot of moving and shooting at the same time on targets and spinning my gun and shooting at this guy on the left and the right, this is going to be what's really going to give it to me. That's going to be better accuracy, quicker shooting on that. But if I want to be like not as on top of the player kind of fighter, this is going to be a little bit better for me, like, you know, more target shooting, more range, instead of being up on top of the guy, because I'm not swinging my barrel as hard all the time. But it's a good call. Depends on if you're going to be an aggressive player with your tank. I would probably want to go with the vertical stabilizer over that. But anyways, this showed you how different splitting hairs is on the same tank, and seeing the difference in that one thing. You can set up your crew also with their stats, with their perks that they have, the level of their perks on the guy. The slider is how experienced he is in his ability as a commander or whatever guy you pick out of the crew. Overall, the whole thing is really a nice program to get an idea to judge you know, to help you pick what tank I wanted to be. Like I was looking at my Arties, you know, Tier 8 Arties. This Tier 8 American Artie compared to, oops, I don't want to compare to heavies. Compared to what other Tier 8 Arties? The Russian. And I'm not going to compare about armor because armor is not what matters on an Artie. It's what matters is the gun. The American's alpha damage per minute is 1855.4. Russian is 1972.4. Out of these two, with all that goes green on the American tank, out of these two, and there's so little difference in the alpha on that, I think I'd rather go, and the accuracy is the same on both of them. I think I'd rather go the American over the Russian by far, but now let's pick this. Let's get a different than the Russian in here. Let's get the German and compare the German to the American. America's got better camouflage ability, a lot better camouflage abilities. You know, this is just a little click of the finger to go through these stats just to see really quick. And I mean, I can go deeper in the stat trees and look at other things that matter more too. It's a great program. I really think it's well worth it. If you also want to check out what's the tier before this tank, okay, that was that tier. I want to compare it with the other tank. Be fair about it. We'll go back that tier also. You know, you can go forward in tiers. When you get to a split, you get to a split. You get your choice of the split. Let me come back. Let me come to the tree here. The Ferdinand. Everything's here. The cool thing is, look at all these premiums. Lots and lots of premiums that you haven't seen before. You want to see something cool? American. Scorpion. Tier 8 Elite Tank Destroyer. American Scorpion. Say what? A light tank with a gun on it like a tank destroyer? What? Yeah, I heard this is coming out soon, possibly. I'm not going to run any more surprises. I don't know. I can't wait if that's coming out. Anyways, check out Tank Inspector. It's well worth the time, well worth the effort. It's a great program. There is a minor issue right now because they have so many people checking it out. Their live stats has been overloaded on their system. So they're upgrading their system to handle a much larger capacity of people using this program because it's so good. Thanks for your time. Possum 911 out. Remember, today's a good day to die.